तो आप क्या चाहती हैं?
So, Danish, this film, it aims to present, several voices, which you have done before as well of Kashmir. But where did this idea come from?
I mean, just like the last short film that you remember watched, The Good News. So I was trying to do these series of four or five different shorts from Kashmir, from different point of views, but based on real incidents. So story like this also, last year there were a couple of incidents where actually stuff like this happened, and that sort of inspired me to write a story. But then my goal always is to tell a story through more like a human perspective or something told through an ordinary character or lives of ordinary people, stuck in these situations. So then we thought of maybe love story would be something interesting if we, because I wanted to do a love story also for a very long time. And but yeah, it's based on true incidents. But then of course I wanted to make it more character driven and something more universal and people can connect to if told through this ordinary character of Ruhi, who's in love with this doctor, but he's not. But then she sees he's a good man. There's empathy in him. He's kind, and that sort of gets her in. And then that sort of sets the tone of the film. And right away, even though it's not a love like it's an unrequited romance, but she feels for him and she wants to do something for him, and she realizes, what happens to him. So, but yeah, it's based on true incidents, and there's gazillion incidents that have taken place like this in Kashmir. Yeah.
Sure, definitely. And I think when it comes to Saloni, I think your character packs a lot of emotions and sentiments. So, for you to amalgamate all these aspects and strands, how tough was it for you as an actor?
Um, I've done another film with Danish before this, and I think he loves to put his actors on the spot and and make it layered and make it complicated. And as an actor, I think it's so important that I have a director who does that, because then I get to play and do a lot more with my character. So I think the layers that you're talking about, that she's in love, but she's also, he's not reciprocating it, and then she has her father to take care of. All of that makes the character so interesting, though it is a little difficult. But I think that's what we love doing as actors, right? Like, we want to explore the new characters that we can do, the challenges that we can overcome, and that's what makes it satisfying. So I think the best part is that Danish is very, very collaborative. And he's very accepting of suggestions that will make the film better or the character better. So it wasn't as tough as it would have been if he wasn't collaborative,
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, and I think definitely I'm going to be speaking a lot about Danish's sort of works and the formats that he makes his stories in very shortly. But I think, Roman, for you, when you are playing a character like the Doctor, I mean, obviously he's like, as Danish said, he's full of empathy and he's a wonderful human being. But unfortunately, something happens which kind of is quite heartbreaking. So for you again to amalgamate all these aspects, and because it is an unrequited love story in that sense, how emotionally tough was it? Because even though you're not at the I mean even though you're at the receiving end, you're not actually facing it, but for you to even think about that, did you have to introspect at a time in your life where you've had to sort of bring out these emotions?
This question reminded me of an incident on set. So when I was given this character, once you read it as an actor, you're like, I've got this and all. But what you forget is when you are at that live location and give your backstory, Saloni and I go, long back. So I know her since Adams and we were models. And I've always had a fondness for her because she's a sweet girl, right? So when we are doing this scene, the first scene we are doing, we're just looking at each other, nothing else. Now there's this scene where she's, trying to tell me, that I kind of like you, and I have to like, no. So when the actual scene came in, she's giving me the flower and I'm looking at her and I just couldn't say no. As an actor, I was like, shut, what do I do? And I remember Danish coming, he's like, Roman, आप उसको थोड़ा ऐसा लेकिन इसमें दिख नहीं रहा है, you have to do this. And that's when I realized, oh my God, it's really tough to be an actor. It's just not, you have to be so much more. Just being in the moment doesn't really help all the time. So the story I just wanted to share, because this is a personal moment that I felt. I was like, no, as an actor, you really have to work hard. And that's when I got back into it, and Danish figured out how to shoot with me, and that was amazing, and it stayed with me, that feeling. So after that, it was a piece of cake, because the empathy that I as a human possess, right? So that was easy for me. This wasn't, and that kind of opened my eyes to, to be how to get into a character, how to not let your emotions get into that at that particular time. So I don't know if I'm able to express what I felt at that time, but that was something special, that with like for my upcoming films, that I'm exactly going to make sure that I don't do that again. A character, you have to be prepared for the character. You can't just be, I'll see it and I'll do it.
Amazing. I think a lot what we did, we didn't rehearse much at all for this short, because we had a script and we just went right away.
No, I didn't, because I was like, yeah, those scene, I'm the boss,
Yeah,
I'll
it
do
would
it.
be easy. Yeah.
Yeah. It grounded me, actually. It did ground me. And
Right.
thanks to Danish, he took care of the situation, and we made me do it, actually. So
And you had
all
a
credit.
nice co-actor also. Just saying.
Yeah.
I mean,
Roman
blame
could say
her
no
because
because he's
of
such
her
a good.
sweetness.
Yeah.
I mean, she's like, she's doing this, and that pretty face of hers, and like, how do I say no to this?
Also, because he's
Yeah,
such a
thank you,
kind
Saloni, for
man.
that.
He's also such a kind man. It was difficult for him to say no. I think that's what it is. He couldn't connect. He's just like, oh, let me take the flower. I think that's where it came from, right?
Yeah,
He
but
can.
beautiful experience.
Yeah, it was quite an experience, especially spring in Kashmir. It was so beautiful.
Yeah.
Go back, yeah, the spring.
An amazing crew, not to mention, everybody was so amazing. We had a gala for time there.
Yeah,
And
I'm sure. I'm
This was
jealous that I'm so jealous of Danish that he gets to literally visit Kashmir every other day and like shoot
oh,
things.
and you have to
I mean,
see
I've not been
Danish in
there.
Kashmir, huh? You have to see that. He's like the boss. Like, you meet him in Bombay, and you meet him in Kashmir. They're two different people, huh?
I can
So
imagine.
you must go to Kashmir with Danish.
Right. For you, Danish, one thing that I've obviously seen is, Kashmiri sort of narratives are definitely something which you have explored quite a lot. But I think when it comes to formatting a story of shorts, I don't know why it's become so popular. I don't know. I mean, I think it would be really wonderful to explore the short story medium and why it has suddenly risen. Do you think because of the pandemic and the fact that audiences have become a lot more sort of watchers, perhaps more than reading? I mean, I'm sure there's readers
right.
there too. But do you feel like that's kind of been a reason why short films as a medium have become very popular?
Yeah, I think for sure, even for me, because since 2020, because of COVID, feature films, forget about it. How will you do a feature film? There were so many restrictions and all. And I was actually in Kashmir, and that's when we did like music videos and shorts. That's the whole idea came because of the circumstances we were in. That this format might work because they're easy to shoot. 2-3 days you can do the whole thing, and also now, as you know, people are watching shorts and documentaries. It's also because people don't have patience to watch long films, especially if they're not exciting anymore. So I think pandemic definitely has a role to play, but also this was a medium that was easy to deliver and produce during these 2 years, last 2-3 years, because of lack of uh, resources because of pandemic. That was also one of the reasons I feel like. But yeah, I've been doing shorts in the beginning of my career. Then of course, feature films is my love. I want to do more features, as many as I can. But this whole idea of doing a lot of music videos and shorts actually came because of COVID, and we just wanted to create content. We wanted to keep telling stories and express ourselves. And this is a medium that I felt like was much accessible and easier to produce. Yeah.
And one thing again I must say about Danish as well is the choice of actors that he has in his works. How do you manage to fuse commercialism in terms of the mainstream faces with your style of storytelling, which is obviously made on an independent basis? How do you manage to pull that off each time?
I think casting is something I really enjoy the process. I cast myself. I don't have a casting director and all. Even though I had in the past, but it's usually me who make the decisions. Like of the casting bit. But I think most of the actors I've worked with, especially like even Roman, Saloni, or the actors in the past, Suraj and all, they've all come on board. It was always a script. It was never about mainstream versus independent. Those factors were not even thought of. It was always the belief in the project, the script that they were passionate about, that drove them to do it, irrespective of what's the budget, how big it is. I think I really want to focus on films that have impact. Whatever I do, even if it's short. I remember the music video I did with Sony. It was
Yes,
also
Avire.
a empowering story for Kashmiri, but it was a music video with a Mahadevan song. But I want to do something that has some meaning to it. So I think that is something every actor loves these days, no matter how big or small. I mean, it doesn't even matter. I think a good actor is always attracted to good script, good content, something that's meaningful, and of course, then you need really good cinematographer, good post production team to make it even better. Execution also matters. But I think it's always the script that has attracted actors to my stories and kind of stuff that I want to do. It's always been like that.
Right. And I think it's also very special for Roman because this is your first release. And I think it's
Yeah,
quite
that's true.
I mean, heavy but yet very emotional film to sort of begin with. But I think because obviously you both come from sort of a modeling background. In fact, Saloni, I'll come to you as well just after. But for you as what helped you discover yourselves as actors? I would love to know the roots and the origins of you discovering that craft.
So I'll tell you, I never wanted to be an actor basically because the first time I went into a workshop, they asked me to do something. I was like, nope, this is not my thing. And this was back in 2016. So I was like, I don't want to be an actor. I'll be a model and we'll finish it. Until 2021, when I finally decided to be honest, it was because I was with people who took me to these sets and I saw filmmaking from behind camera. And that was very intriguing because I learned few things that, first of all, how aware you have to be as an actor and how aware in your personal life you have to be, like not in front of the camera, but when you're living your life on a daily basis. And that kind of intrigued me. So it's like, no, let's explore this. And then I got a couple of scripts from some amazing people that I know. I shot a film before MFD and I met him. He gave me that platform to perform. He was like, do your thing. And that's when I found my love for acting. And then Danish, I know from a very long time because we kind of wanted to do this film together, which never happened. But Danish, I saw the illegal. And I was like, dude, this guy is amazing. His narrative is so beautiful, so simple, and it just touches you. And then he sent me the script. And I was like, wow, I have to work with him. And I got this chance to do it. And I'm actually blessed and lucky. And again, thank you, Cap. I call him Captain. Danish,
No, I'm so
I just
thankful.
wanted to say that you're so beautiful as a director. The way you write, the way you put it out on the screen, it is so magical and so emotional.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much for
So glad you
taking me
are part of
basically.
this. Both of you are such beautiful people, and this was meant to happen together.
That's so sweet of you. But thank you
Not
so much.
because
This is an experience I would love people to see and feel it because. And Saloni, what do I say? You're amazing, right?
magic.
Don't say anything.
No. People will see it and they know it. And amazing job. So MFD and this is beautiful. I mean, hats off to and Bisma. Amazing job you guys have pulled off.
Right.
So I feel
Yeah.
best.
Sure. No, I can understand. I can understand, especially when it comes to the sentimentality of it all. I truly get that. But Saloni, I think for you, you've obviously got a great background of work behind you already. Broken but Beautiful, I think, was definitely very popular, which you
Yeah.
were a part of, and so many other shows and content on OTT. Um, but I think for you, doing a role like this, which is very sentimental in essence, and uh, realistic as well. How important is realism in today's day and age for actually breaking through and discovering that craft of yours as an actor?
So, my training in acting, I have trained in method acting, which believes in realism and bringing that to the camera or to the stage. So that is how I started training myself to be an actor. So it's very, very important for me to bring that realism. And I feel only if you're honest, will that honesty translate on screen, right? Having said that, of course, there are times when you don't get a character which is even remotely close to you. I'm not Kashmiri. I've hardly ever been to Kashmir before this. I've not lived in conflict. I've been very blessed. I've not seen what Ruhi sees on a day-to-day basis, living in Kashmir, being there, right? I've been very lucky to not have unrequited love in my life also. It's always been reciprocated. So I've not lived Ruhi's life, but there is a part of me that has experienced some bits of her life. I like the love with the father, the beauty of falling in love with somebody, and just taking care of the family, doing everything on her own. She's making kava in the morning, she's fishing, all of those things. I've not fished, but you know what I'm saying, right? I've also taken care of my family. So those elements, as an actor, they're very important for me to find so that I can connect to the character. And then there's imagination, and then there's the director's vision, and then there's an amazing co-actor. So all of these things together, I think, make it what it is.
Yeah, and I think like that just goes to show your method acting background, isn't it? Like how you said about trying to live that character and doing the things that perhaps you haven't done, but the character does, which I think does go to show that. But again, another really pertinent question I think is very important to address is that I feel what's happening now is that currently, independent content is being appreciated and becoming a lot more popular than perhaps before the pandemic. Of course, that fight to gain a backing by major studios is always, I think that's a constant. I don't think that's ever going to end. But I think even for you as an artist, Danish, for you as a filmmaker, how tough has it for you to actually survived all these years on your own as an independent content creator? How have you not succumbed to that pressure actually of commercial and mainstream popularity and all of that?
I mean, that pressure is there always. I mean, because you're in Bombay and you know how it is so competitive, so much content coming out, and there's already these production companies who already have these tie-ups with all the platforms, all the studios, theatrical. So when you come in as an independent filmmaker, it's a very tough journey, and I'm very blessed. I'm very grateful that I've been able to tell stories that I want to tell, and there has never been a pressure on me. Even my next feature film that's coming this year, which is right now almost done, Songs of Paradise. Again, I produced it, wrote it, directed it. I did the way I wanted. I have the cast I wanted. Even in the last 3 films that I've done. Another thing is, I had that luxury that I did meet the right people who wanted to support it, fund it, the great actors who want to be part of it, big, small, it doesn't even matter. Good actors. So I think it's a tough journey, but then you have to make a decision what kind of films you want to make. For me as a filmmaker, it might vary for everyone else, but for me, I want to tell stories that I really want to believe in, and I something doesn't matter, it's commercial, non-commercial. For me, the script has to matter, the film has to connect to me, then I'll be able to deliver. So I've been blessed that I've been able to do that. I think COVID actually really affected all of us. There was this gap where content wasn't, nothing was possible, especially the film industry was impacted big time. But I'm again grateful. I went to Kashmir, we did so many videos, we created so much content. This short film is also one of them. So sometimes it's just, I feel like if you believe in something that's honest and you have the right people around you, it does happen. Then you're not relying on these uh, studios or commercial, non-commercial elements. Because when you start thinking about all that, then it goes a very different route, and then there's all this pressure, stress on you. So I'm enjoying the process where I'm heading towards, and fingers crossed. Let's see what happens in the future.
Right. And I think when it comes to actors as well, I feel like there's also a different sense of pressure for them because obviously, don't get me wrong, I think it's great that we have social media. I always
Right.
consider myself also an influencer. So, not to kind of shade on anyone on social media or to shade on the medium itself, but I feel like what happens now is that, a lot of the work that a creative gets depends on their social media traction and how much followers they have, how viral their reels go, and all of those aspects. So I think Roman and Saloni, how tough is it to keep your heads, sane, I guess, from that pressure of life currently?
I think
Saloni, would
it's very important to understand that while yes, it's important now in the creative space, when a project is being made, how many followers one has, but that doesn't decide whether the result is going to be good or not. That is only decided by the skill and the talent your actor brings. And there are a lot of influencers who are very talented actors as well.
oh yeah,
Right?
true.
So it works. Yeah, there are many who have million followers, but they're very good at what they do. So it's business at the end of the day. Even as an actor who has to bear the brunt of it, I understand that. And the sellability of the project and the viability is very important. But as actors, I think what's in our hands is we have to keep working on ourselves, on our skill, on our talent, because that no one can take away. And if you bring good talent to the table, that's about it,
Right. Yeah, no, it makes sense. I think talent always speaks louder than that. But I think Roman, actually, what I wanted to ask you, slight extension of that, really. But I think it's also, if we think about images that are created nowadays, I feel like sometimes what an image of a person is, especially in the media or on socials, that's very different to how a person really is when you get to actually interact with them one on one. And I think that's one thing that this phase has really taught me, especially during post pandemic. But I think for you, in terms of getting your voice heard as an artist, comparison to perhaps images created in the media beforehand, how tough is it for you to? I mean, has it been a challenge for you to break away from that, or what has been your sort of mindset? I think currently as an artist.
It's a beautiful question, actually. And so, the image that people have had of me, the only thing I could break it off was to use my social media by being me. So that's when I started doing Roman asking, because that's me. I like listening to people. I didn't want to be the one who is all over the place and trying to show his ending. I've got everything. It wasn't about me. I always wanted it for people to come on and talk to me. That's what I like. And that's how I learned to not to succumb to these social media pressures or, to be likable. I didn't get into a rat race, thankfully. So that's why I'm sorted that way. It doesn't affect me too much. The only thing I use social media is for to get to know people who really want to speak or want to talk or want to be heard. And that keeps me sane. That also gives me the power to, stay and wait for the right projects. Like I said, I am not in a rat race, so that helps me. That's my mantra or funda, whatever you call it. And then you have these amazing people who actually see the talent in you, and they approach you, and how these beautiful films are being made. It's all about what you can bring to the table rather than your followers. I'm not saying that that's not important, but for me, it doesn't really work that way. And
How do you find that connect once you're done with your day's shoot and you go back home to being yourselves? Saloni, do you want to go first?
My training. I mean, so of course I've trained in method acting, and you know what? Actually, this when I came to Bombay to pursue acting, there were a lot of. I mean, I always thought, hey, I'm good looking, I can dance. What is acting? I'll be able to do it. And then I realized, listen, it's a skill. You have to train yourself. You have to hone your skill. And I started training. And when I started working is when I realized how important that training is, because there are times when you play characters that are very dark, very vulnerable, very emotional, and you have to get back to life. And you can't take a day or 2 days to get back to life. You have to snap out of it. And that's where your training comes in. So I keep doing these keep exploring different forms of training. And I've found that most of them are actually about, like you said, getting to know yourself better, having more experiences. And, so you can learn how to snap in and snap out. And I think that's very, very important. And a lot of people struggle with that. I struggled with that. There was a show I used to do, and I was playing a very, very emotionally vulnerable character. And I remember after doing this is a theater show. So after doing a couple of shows, I started falling sick because it's having an impact. And we don't even realize that it's actually what I'm doing on stage that was, physically manifesting itself somewhere. And I realized, no, this is, if I want to work longer, if I want to see myself, run in the longer race, I need to learn how to snap out of it. And so yeah, in short, my training.
Your training. Great.
Yeah.
I think, Roman, I was just thinking about this as well the other day, that how blessed Indian cinema is to have such great actors, whether it's Jian Vikram in South, in Shah Rukh Khan, of course, in our very own Bollywood. And I think the beauty of some of these actors is that they've really not just been toxic masculinity, they've not just endorsed toxic masculinity and being like the guy who saves the girl's honor and, being the bravado that we've often seen. But there's also that sense of them allowing themselves to be broken as people and showing those emotions on screen. So at a time like this where we are, sort of talking about championing men's mental health and conversations on that have started, how do you hope to also champion these roles? I mean, is this something which you've actually thought about?
I mean, see, I'm all about mental health any which ways. This is a big part of my life because as a Capricorn, I've always been somebody who doesn't talk much, right? So that has put me in a lot of pressure because I kept hearing people out, but I couldn't channelize my own. And that's when I found singing, People say that, you sing and all, you should try it. I was like, I do it only to get, my feelings out. I was lucky enough to explore it. A lot of people don't. So I think as an actor who's out there, who people lucky enough that people follow you, it's very important for us as an industry to come out and let people know, which I think a lot of people are doing nowadays. On a superficial level, maybe, but at least it is helping people.
Yeah.
So my message would be just, be in touch with yourself, get to know yourself first. As an actor, as a person in any profession, you have to know yourself. So you have to spend time with yourself. You have to accept yourself as you are. Stop faking it. Know yourself and then help others. Be it any profession, it's just not about acting. I'm just saying on a personal level, as a human being to another human being. Help each other out, but help yourself first. And know what self-love is, the true meaning of self-love. Am I being able to explain this to you, or do you need more clarity?
No. I think it's true. I think what's happening is that it shouldn't just be an Instagram story.
Exactly.
It should be about prioritizing oneself. And I think the problem is with society, and I think this will just go into a very different direction. So I'm not going to go into too much detail. But I feel like with society, we often see selfish as a very negative word, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. It's just because most of the actions kind of give into that image. But I think, look, before it goes into like a very interesting sort of counseling session, but I think
come back to MFT. Danish,
coming back to my father's doctor. The fact that it's obviously having a premiere at New York Indian Film Festival. I think, firstly, two questions into one. And I think this will be applying to all of you. So number one, what do you hope to gain out of the premiere? And secondly, you all have a lineup of some very exciting projects. If you could also shed some light on that, that would be fantastic. So Danish, do you want to go first?
Great. Of course, we want the short film to be seen, as many people as possible, and then have a platform. So we have submitted a lot of film festivals. So I wanted to travel a few months. People must know the story. People must share the story with their network. So that's I've done this a lot. This is like sort of like something I've done so many times. I know the process. But eventually we'll have a platform like Hotstar or Amazon or something. That's where the last short film, it landed in.
Oh
But
yes.
but we do want, because short films, it's really limited to how you promote it, how you get it out. I
True.
think this is one of those, the ones that has a story that has an impact. So we want to spread the word. We want the right people to watch it. We want people to appreciate it, and also understand that there are stories like these as well, and they're based on true stories, and humanize with these characters, because there's so much stereotype and bias towards certain group of people, but people never want to see the bigger picture and the human perspective. So that's very important, you know. So yeah, that's what is the purpose of the short film. And then I'm doing a feature film that's coming this year. It's called Songs of Paradise. It's almost ready. Sabah Azad plays the lead.
Oh
We have a big
wow.
on, yeah, Sabah plays, and it's based on 1960s in Kashmir. It's about a singer, Raj Begum, who was a legend in Kashmir. So it's based on her story and her song. So super excited about it.
Oh, that does
And
sound
I'm doing
exciting.
another film too. Yeah, but this one is almost done now. Yeah, so it's gonna come out this year.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Well, that's definitely gotten me excited.
Yeah, so first of all, from MFT, I actually want people to feel, you know, what I felt when I watched it. Forget about being a part of it. When I saw it on screen and I felt something, and it was so simple, and you feel it. That's what I want people to feel, and for that we definitely need that space to be heard, seen, right? So once it's out there, I hope we get good platform. We should get good platform because we deserve it. And then again, Danish's narrative. We need more directors like this in our industries. That because what do you remember as a child to go into a cinema and come back with a movie? That feeling.
Hmm.
I want people to have it with MFT. I want people to praise what these beautiful people have done in it, like a Saloni, like our DOP, what he has captured. The whole team, we've just come together
Very
and
small
done
crew,
something for you.
very small crew, but they've done
Exactly.
something like a
And we've
family.
created something so beautiful. I just want people to see it and take something away from it. So
And
that,
Anuj, everyone in Kashmiri, huh? All the entire
yeah,
crew.
yeah, yeah. There were these
Wow.
Sandeep,
stylists,
yeah, he was
these
from
girls,
Chennai.
remember?
Yeah,
College
the
girls,
costume,
amazing girls,
such girls with the costumes, makeup is
Yeah.
Kashmiri. The entire
It
night
was,
production,
it
Kashmiri
was
people.
beautiful. I was so impressed. I was like, what is Danish has just built a team out of nowhere and they're so good. So
Hmm.
all hats off to him. And
That's the
Kashmir needs this.
yeah,
We have so many creative people there. They are just not coming out. They have so much talent. I tell you, Kashmiris are full of talent. I think everybody is, but they just need a platform. And people like Danish are giving it. So hats off to him.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow.
Thank
No,
you.
definitely.
Very important. Yeah, it is uh, amazing to even think of that. That a lot of Kashmiris are involved making this film. Yeah.
Coming back to your second question, I start the South project next week, and
Oh,
it's a heavy. Can't speak much about it, but it's a action film, and I'm training as an action right now. So that's wish me luck for this because that's definitely not my zone. But yeah, I'm excited for that.
I just like to stress on the fact that this is a passion project. People who love filmmaking, who love the script, the story, who love Kashmir have come together and created something. And we all wanted to be seen and heard. And the representation of Kashmir in this is very human. And it's a human story, like Danish said. And that representation of Kashmir, I find missing. And therefore I think it's very important to tell these stories also because this is based on a true event. So so, and like Roman said, that so our DOP is South Indian, and then we have a Kashmiri team, so we have like diversity right there making this
yes.
beautiful Kashmiri film, and I think it deserves the platform. It deserves a platform where a lot of people can watch it.
Yes.
So that's what we want out of the film. And about me, I like to keep myself busy. So right now I'm working on a musical. It's based on a film in the 80s called Disco Dancer.
Oh
And
wow, you're in that? That's so
yes,
cool.
yes, and
Oh,
we're performing
cool.
in Bombay very soon. That's what I was rehearsing for. And we premiered in London in November. and
Yeah.
hopefully we'll bring it to the States as well. And I have a couple of shows on the OTT coming up, season 2s and 3s, and 1 or 2 new ones as well. And hopefully a South film, Roman, with you. I don't know, recommend me.
Done deal. But this time I'm not saying no.
Thank you. So, yeah.
Wow.
Film
Wow.
is
Nothing.
busy.
That's
Shooting,
pretty.
shooting.
Yeah, everyone's pretty much booked and busy, which is great. My Father's Doctor is one of those films which again talks about an Indian voice, which also is very, very important, I think, for our cinema. It's representing that. And I think the fact that it's having its premiere at New York Indian Film Festival, I'm quite excited to see what people have to say about it. I mean, are you guys traveling for that, or what's the situation like? Danish, you're going for that, right?
We haven't planned yet. We might. Let's see. I might be in US that time, so I might plan it.
Perfect.
Yes.
Well, good. I can't wait to hear back on that. And Danish, you definitely must
Many more
film.
screenings. Yes, and many
Yes.
more screenings for sure.
For sure.
All right.
For sure.
Thank you so much, Anuj.
Right.
It was
But on that
lovely.
note, thank you so much, everyone, for joining me on Filme Shilmy. It was such a pleasure to have you all. Thank you.
Thank
you,
you.
Anuj. You're amazing. Thank you, guys. This was fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye, guys.